the testimonies, and I'm young. So let's say this first, and this is to the offense of most teenagers and young men that are in the court system. We don't know how to show remorse. We're still lacking emotion and maturity. So throughout my whole trial, not just my family, but the judge and the other families looking at me like I had no remorse.
Right.
The jury, but I don't know that.
Right.
I'm thinking because I got a suit on,
Right.
I'm sitting up,
Right.
I'm being respectful.
I fit that. I fit the image of someone who is not what y'all painted me out to be.
Exactly, right? So I was facing 4 life sentences in 13 years, right? So I'm looking at it like, there's no way.
Right.
You know, this ain't even me as a person.
Right.
Yeah, I'm in the streets. Yeah, I get my hands dirty. I ain't no saint. Yeah, I put in work, have put in work. Yes. Never denied any of that. But in this situation,
Right. No.
this ain't me.
Right.
So in my mind, they gonna say not guilty, I'm gonna leave with my family. When they said guilty, I still was in denial, and the jury recommended 61 years. So I said, all right, when I go to my sentencing, the judge gonna throw, if not all that, most of that out because I didn't do any of this. They don't hurt people, even my Cody, they don't hurt his testimony and the things that happened in my absence and all that, right? I go to my sentencing, the judge upholds the 61 years. So he let my mom and my sister, my little brothers, he let them back there to hug me. I'm still like in shock. So I laid down for a week in the jail and I ain't speak to nobody. And I said, you know what? So my brother, 2 of my cousins came to see me. They like, yo, you ain't calling nobody, you good? I said, man, I'm not doing 61 years. And they was like, man, what you mean you ain't doing 61 years? Right. I'm not doing it.
Right.
I'm not going to do 61 years. That's what I mean. Right. So they looking at each other. They looking around like, man, he ain't going to kill himself, is he? That's the first thought that came because of the breed. We don't tell. We don't do certain things. We take what comes to us. That's how we was raised in the streets. Right. Like this is a part of the streets. So they're looking at it like we know him and what he's cut from. So if he's saying he ain't doing it, he ain't gonna kill himself. Right. So my cousin's like, don't do it. Don't kill yourself. I'm like, man, I'm not killing myself, but I'm not doing 61 years. Right. So they didn't get that. At that point right there, I was saying I was going to change. And in my mind, I was going to leave the streets alone. I didn't know what my purpose was. I didn't know how things was going to turn out, but I knew what I didn't want to do anymore. Right. Because one thing about it, I was tired. Each time we get arrested, each time we get locked up, what we do, we sleep. Because the wear and tear and the stress of living that lifestyle, it wears us down. So the first thing we're doing when we get in an environment where we know we can lay our head, we knocked out. And we getting back. So I laid down for about a week. I pulled my curtain. I made a curtain. I said, all right, I'm here. I'm going into the system. I made me a curtain where people can't see me. I pulled that, and I laid back for a week. And I started mapping out, like you just said, what am I supposed to be doing? I knew I was an athlete. I knew I had letters to go to school and play football. I had art scholarships. I had all these things going for me. I was a year-round athlete. I was good on the football field. I was good in the track. I wrestled. I was weightlifting team. I mean, year round they had me involved. Everything, right? So I said, I'm supposed to be in college, but when I get in the system, I come up on an administration, the McDonald administration. If your time plus your age added up over 84 years, you couldn't go to school. You weren't eligible for a trade. Because they looked at you as a lifer.
I remember that.
So you was not eligible for any of that.
Yeah, I remember
You couldn't even go to school if you wanted to.
I remember that, bro. Yeah.
You couldn't. Mm-hmm. They just sent you straight to Supermax.
Yep, and that was it.
And they closed the door. You just was going to be there.
Yeah, I remember that. Yep.
So I went to Supermax, but what I did was I let family know, I need money to go to school. I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to do that. Started paying for my own schooling. Started educating myself, and really that benefited me because I was in isolation for 2.5 years.
So you had straight focus.
I had straight focus on what I wanted to do. And long story short, when I got out of confinement, I ran into a young man. He was like 19 years old. Had to be like 18, 19. They don't throw him in the system. He trying to talk to me. I'm in line for the phone. They don't ship me to Wallace Ridge a level down, which is my second time there because I was there for Supermax. When they dropped the level, they sent me to Red Onion. I had to earn my way back. So when I come in there, I'm looking around. I'm seeing who I know, who I don't. I didn't know anybody. So my back is against the wall once again. I'm in line for the phone, and you already know how that is. I'm thinking Youngin trying to cut line. I'm thinking he trying to feel me out. He come and say, man, I need to talk to somebody. I'm like, man, you need to get in the back of the line, man. I don't know you. Right. But that night, he killed himself.
Oh, man.
Cut his throat, then put the noose around his neck and a sprinkler and hung himself. Wow. So the next morning, we locked down, trying to get out to use the phone. I'm like, man, what's going on? So I see them. He's being brought out with a sheet over him. And that reality there, I said, you know what, man? It's people in here. They're putting people in here that can't even survive and are not supposed to be in general population. Right. So from that point on, I started looking into, okay, if I'm going to be here, I'm going to start getting at them about having a different section for people like that. Right. And then I heard he had mental health issues. You know, he wasn't supposed to be around us. So at that time, they was putting people with mental health issues in solitary confinement. That made them worse. Because you isolating a person that may be bipolar, schizophrenic, or just, you know, dealing with anxiety or depression, and you're closing them in. And they can't speak to anybody. They don't have no type of outlet. It's just them and their mind. And their thoughts. Mm-hmm. So I started studying peer support when it wasn't in the system. It really wasn't in the communities like that in Virginia. Virginia has been behind on that. And I didn't know that. So I'm studying Rhode Island, Connecticut material on how you learn from your own. Because the way we was brought up, like we just said, we looked at the generations ahead of us and we respected everything they said because they came from the cloth that we was being sewn into because they was cut from that cloth. So they had already been there, done that. So the advice they gave us, we didn't question. So I'm looking at that in the system. I said, that's what's needed here. We don't listen to the psychologists. We don't listen to the security. We don't listen to nobody on that side because it was a them versus us mentality. So I said, man, we should be giving each other advice and helping each other. But see, that was a threat to their organized chaos. That was a threat to their structure of their system. So I fought and fought and fought. It took me maybe almost 10 years to get them to respect me in that manner and say, you know what, people do listen to him. He do keep the peace down a lot. He has a lot of respect. So let's give him a support group. Gave me one support group. Each month we bringing in 50 men. We talking about emotional dispositions. We educating ourselves. We getting advice on how to speak to our family, how to understand what they're going through versus us pushing what we're going through. Because a lot of times, you know, when you look at it, we look for our family to do our bid with us. We look for them to be incarcerated with us. We look for them to come into the prison instead of us saying, okay, I'm going to do my time, but I'm also going to listen to them and make sure they know that I'm growing.
See, and so, and the question that I have for you with that is, how receptive when they finally said, okay, we're gonna give you this peer support, how receptive were the guys and how receptive was the administration when whomever said handle your business and you finally said okay, because I'm sure that you had a plan already, you were just waiting for the okay. How receptive was everybody when you finally put everything in place?
They wasn't. Because you got to realize when you're a change agent, you're ahead of the present time. So my peers looked at me like, man, is he getting soft? I mean, what is all that about? He keep talking about trauma. He keep talking about mental health. He talk about substance abuse. We ain't doing nothing but blowing. You know what I'm saying? They looking at me like, man, what's up, son? I don't know. You know, but it was a few that knew me and knew that it was genuine, right? So they say, and this is the thing, right? In the beginning, you know, you had a gang component, You had communities as far as like you had Tidewater, you had Richmond, you had everybody divided in that sense. So the knack with me was I was universal. I had people from every population that respected me for being me.
Right.
So they was like, nah, I know him. So they'll bring 1 or 2 people into the support group. But once we in the support group, one thing that I got a demonstration about was no security.
That's right.
Because how can I have an open dialogue with my own,
and y'all
if we still have authority component in there, right? So that's what they was iffy on. The fights, the stabbings, the weapons, right? But we had enough power amongst our own where that it was a safer, and it wasn't even about policing because they knew, and the understanding was understood, where that was a safe zone.
I got you.
Even as you get into it and get heated, you ain't doing nothing here.
Not in here, no.
And we're gonna meet on the yard to talk about this because we don't want this reflecting something we trying to do, right?
I got you.
So I went through it, and I went through that all the way until I went out the door. As far as my own getting close to me for what they could use me for, as far as them shaking my hand. See, that's the thing though, right? When you're in the streets, you see it coming. You know who's against you. When you're in there, it's a psychological warfare. The same person that's right next to you, the same person that's hugging you, the same person that's holding you down, I'll be the one that's sent to lay you down. I'll be the one that's saying, okay, I'm going to ride with him until I get to this point. Or I'm going to see how he's doing it so I can do it. And then he ain't needed anymore. Right? So that psychological warfare kept us on our toes and kept me on my toes. But at the same time, it was very stressful. Like I had the same cell partner like we was discussing earlier for 15 years, not just because he was from the same area, but because I can lay my head. Where when I went in that cell, I could get a peace of mind and stay focused on what my agenda was. And at that time, understand this, I wasn't even up for parole. I wasn't even eligible for parole. I just wanted to help. I just wanted to change the narrative. I wanted to give back what I didn't have, right? And that's what it was about.
And that was in that moment, when all of that came about, it was like, now you were the OG whom we looked up to, giving advice to the dudes underneath. You know what I'm saying? The ones that were trying to find their way, trying to fill it out, and was like, I didn't have this. So I'm going to create something I'm going to lay the foundation. You know what I'm saying? For everybody. And the blueprint is right here. And let's make it so that it's beneficial to everybody.
And see, that was the instant reward where we was given more room to breathe at first. And that's what we was going into it for. Like, okay, we can not only help our own, because it went up in tiers. It went from mentor to life coach to peer to now the same system. Yep, it went out. We need to stop anyway. And in a minute, we go ahead.